time. All right. It is time for a very special POS Uncensored. See, if you look at the PayProTec logo, which is in the upper, got a point right there, corner, there are four lines all moving forward, and they represent the four pillars of PayProTec. It started by PayProTec, founded in 2004, the smallest line, founded in Warsaw, Indiana, growing and looking to help serve merchant services across the United States. We quickly developed a strategy that, man, we don't want to sell directly to the merchant. We want to build teams of partners across the United States and incredible people that are going to sell these products, that are going to help these merchants. So the second line is those partners. Thousands of partners across the United States who have been applied and been approved and are selling products to restaurants and to B2B businesses and to bakeries and to retail and all around the world. And the third is the merchants, and those merchants are growing because they're being helped by these incredible partners. And the fourth is the customers. And we have to continue growing into that incredible momentum and moving forward. And the interesting thing about PayProTec is, though it takes, it's built by the size. PayProTec's the smallest little piece, and then the partners, and there's more merchants than there are partners and more customers than there are. But the key, the center, the one that's in the middle is our partners. And on POS Uncensored for the next several weeks, every week, we're going to tell the story and hear the story of our partners who are selling POS across this nation. So what I get to really tell you is that it's not just going to be Matt Proctor and I. And did Matt disappear? What? Matt, you did not disappear. I see you over there, but you did in my something over here. So watch this. Boy, 3, 2, 1. Watch Matt up here. There on the right-hand side of your screen, giving me a little technical difficulties, is Mr. Matt Proctor. Matt, how are you, sir? Are you excited to enter our new era in POS Uncensored, as our era is the partner area, where we hear the stories of our partners and how the good, the bad, the ugly of selling point of sale across this wonderful, great nation?
Yes. I am pumped. Nathan Manahan. Good to see you, my friend. And I'm really excited, Nate, just because these partners that we're going to be talking to in the next few weeks, including, a good friend today, these are friends of mine. And these are part of our family. These are guys that we've worked with for years, guys, women, people that have been really part of our PayProTec family, and that we've been able to meet with and grow with and laugh about our kids, as well as growing their business and helping them grow to where they want to be and where they want to be comfortable. Take those vacations, buy whatever cars you want, all that good stuff. And it's because we've stayed, kind of arm in arm, hand in hand over all these years out of all the different POS systems that we've gone through. And we'll tell stories. There's a lot of them they've been throughout the years, good, bad, and ugly, but they've stuck with us. They've weathered any storms we had. We pivot. We keep our merchants on board. We switch POS systems if we need to. And to hear their stories is exciting, Nate. I'm pumped. Yep. I'm excited for today.
So,
my boy.
Yep. So I forgot to do this earlier on office hours earlier today, but I have it here. Each for the next several weeks, all of our shows are sponsored by people who send me swag. So please send me swag, including our guest who has not sent me swag. So today is not sponsored by the guest who's going to be, we'll talk about his particular brand, but it's sponsored by someone who will be here in a couple weeks. So you need to send me swag so I can do it. Today we're sponsored by True North Payments. I have 2 pieces of swag here on here. I got my, I think it's supposed to have a beer in here, Matt, but I put a sparkling ice because I thought that was more appropriate this time of day on a Thursday afternoon. But True North Payments, Ben Wickersheim, Greg Ernest, and their team in Wisconsin. And we've got some old.
This is my sponsor.
Oh, we're going all 3 now. Oh, Old Trapper is also sponsoring, but now on the screen. Matt, can you introduce who I brought up on the screen? He is not from True North Payments, though one of our wonderful partners who will also be on POS Uncensored hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But can you introduce the man, the myth, the legend on the bottom of our screen?
The one and only Jerry Pierce in the house. I think he's the mayor of his town of Oklahoma. He's probably going to be the governor of Oklahoma one of these days. Yeah. And the co-founder of Altpay. And Jerry and I, hell, buddy, it's been at least 7-8 years, getting closer to 10 probably.
Almost
We've
8
been
years.
Together. Thank you for joining us today, brother. You look good.
Look at him. He's got the backlit shades all making him glow. He's like an angel over there in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry and I, our sports teams have gone head to head way too much recently, and he's got the upper hand right now, including for Matt over here. He got to experience the Oklahoma City Thunder. And coming up on September 6th, my Michigan Wolverines come into Norman, Oklahoma to come see what's happening over there for the Oklahoma Sooners. You basically, I've got to get that game, right? I got to get that win. We'll see. Who knows? But who knows? But all that, you're from Oklahoma.
Every year, Oklahoma's got a good team. You never know.
All right. So we could talk sports, but let's talk merchant services, POS, payments. Tell me, Jerry, how long have you been in payments? How did you get into the payments, merchant services, point of sale game? Kind of give us that, little beginning of how you got into this industry and maybe the beginning parts of how this became part of your career.
Sure. After you were a male stripper, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's get your next career.
This is the uncensored part. We will not be sharing that later. But thank you, Jerry.
When I had a mohawk. So
That's right.
Hey, you got to have hair somewhere. All right, keep going. All right, Jerry, tell us about how you got in merchant services.
Yeah, we'll get to real stuff. So about 20 years ago, I moved to Oklahoma and was job hunting, played golf with some guys that were working for a company called First Data. At the time, I had no idea who they were, anything about them. And they were actually in the telecheck division. So met with those guys. They hired me. Went through a pretty extensive training program with First Data for several years and really kind of grasped the payments industry and obviously checks too. And then got recruited by a point of sale company locally that wanted me to build out a sales team for them, kind of build their book of business, things like that. Stayed with those guys for several years. And that's kind of where I really started to understand the ins and outs of the POS side, what goes into it with support, quality of the product, the daily business there. And then in 2018, decided I was tired of making money for everybody else and kind of wanted to start my own company. So that's when I started Altpay. And actually the first vendor I ever signed up with was PayProTec. Met with Danny and Jay Salee and been going strong ever since.
So, I mean, and when you get into you jumped into the big First Data world, which is the kind of the top of the food chain in our payments industry. Mm-hmm. Now we'll reserve, they want to be known as Fiserv, and we'll respect that. I still call Twitter X Twitter, but that's all right. But when you get into that world, what were some of the learning part? Who came alongside of you? Because you said you realized you wanted to stop making money for other people. How did you learn some of the things that were very basic to understanding how to build Altpay as you kind of graduated and moved into that direction? What were some of the turning points that said, oh, this is how I learned that, you can serve merchants? I don't know but what were some of those trigger points that made you want to build Altpay?
Honestly, the biggest thing was how much money we were leaving on the table. It's nice to have somewhat of a salary and things like that in the beginning. But when you start looking at splits and schedules and things like that, you realize real quick that at the end of the day, you might be getting 20% of the profit in the account. And so that's kind of what drove me towards it, to be honest with you. And then with First Data, some of these other companies, you got to continue to build that book because they start taking it away from you after 2 or 3 years. And I wanted to be able to make the decisions to keep the customer happy. Just a prime example why I left First Data, I'll just tell you, I got a phone call from a merchant one day and he said, "Hey, Jerry, I know you. I have a relationship with you. I signed a 3-year contract, but you continue to change my rates." And I had no control over that working for a big company. And that's kind of where I decided, you know what? It's my relationships. It's my customers. I want to go ahead and have control of the pricing and what goes on going forward for them. And that's pretty much what pushed me over the edge to start the company, to be honest with you.
All right. Jerry, I got a question for you, if that's okay, Nate. I'll jump in here.
Absolutely.
So how did you actually meet Jay Salee and Danny? Did you start looking at just different opportunities, different payment companies, or did they reach out to you? Kind of how did that relationship start?
I did. It was kind of how Nate does a lot of these videos and different stuff online. I mean, I was actually just researching. I only knew the big names back then, the Heartlands and the First Datas and stuff. I didn't know who to go to. And something popped up about PayProTec. I reached out, had a great conversation with Danny, and he introduced me to Jay Salee. There wasn't many more people in the office back in those days. But it was just kind of just talking to Danny on the phone, and then it seems like we've built a relationship since then. I mean, just like you guys. You guys are a different company than a lot of the other vendors that we deal with. we truly have relationships, and it's like a family, like Nate said. And I think that's what really pushed me the direction of staying with you guys.
I think you and I probably met shortly. To say Nate and I both probably met you just a few months into it because you already knew point of sale.
Yeah, and you were in a different position back then. So I mean, I was working with you on pretty much every deal, with demos and
Absolutely, on the
everything.
sales side.
Yep.
And
So
I think that's another part of this is people don't realize having the POS Pros team, it's actually an advantage for us because I've got buddies of mine that they're actually dealers. One's I'll say soft touch dealer right now, and he actually brings deals to me because he can't compete in the marketplace like we can with these free placement programs and some of the splits and different things that we have. So I think that's where your team and having a diverse group of products out there that we can sell to people. We don't have to just go in with one product. Like me and you talk every day, there's certain fits for everybody. And so I think that's where it's unique what we've brought to the table versus these guys that sell just one product.
love that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
can you, Jerry, kind of back up a little bit? First, you came in the telecheck side of business, which is very different than some of the other sides of as you get to. Can you kind of talk us through what some of your first sales were? Was it the telecheck? Then when did you move to terminals? And then how did you get into selling your first POS? Because I know you've had multiple iterations of how you've worked with POS companies.
Right. Yeah. Back in those days, it was kind of funny that the telecheck team of guys that I was on across the country, we started to become more successful. So at the President's Club every year, it was a huge group of us were telecheck guys. And I think what helped us is we actually were going door to door, leasing and selling an Eclipse machine is what they called it back then. It's a check reader. And we had to sell that or lease that with every deal. That's the only way they could use the product. And so that kind of led into, they were like, well, if you guys can sell this, you need to be selling the merchant processing side too. So immediately all of us went through a different type of training. And then that just basically, I could walk in the door and sell you checks or processing together. And I think that's what kind of really helped me learn the industry, to be honest with you. And we're out cold calling every day, so it wasn't a big deal anymore. But then when I left those guys to run this point of sale company, it was a game changer for me. It was overwhelming, to be honest with you, at first. I mean, I didn't understand how to even put a price in a POS. It was just, I was lost. So I built a sales team and just stayed more and more involved day to day with these guys. I would go out on installs, help customers resolve some of their problems and stuff like that. And so that's what kind of made it more fun. It's a lot more fun to walk into a bar in a restaurant, sit down with those guys and work through the process and just go in and selling a credit card terminal. And they're more long-term customers too. Anybody can replace a credit card terminal. It's a lot harder to replace a POS system once you get it in.
Look at that. Look at the wisdom coming out of this guy. Exactly what I've been saying for years. He already knows.
So let's talk about specifically learning POS. And you've been doing this for 20 years. There's been a few changes in how payments run and how POS systems run and the robust features and capabilities of all the POS. What have been some of those triggering points where you're like, the aha moments as you've been going through, as you've been selling different products? What are some of those points that you're like, this is how POS should be sold? This is finally we have this feature. What are those key celebration points of selling point of sale systems that you're like, man, it finally did this, versus when I first started, we were selling, I don't even have a check. If I had to go find a check right now, I couldn't do it. I could send you one
the
mailed.
text that you would send me, Matt, what's new? What's going on? What's new? And then we talk about 8 new systems I'm looking at.
Yeah. But but what have been the key things that you think are most important to helping you be successful selling POS that have been the changes you've seen in the last 20 years?
I mean, I tell you from a sales standpoint, it's just buying in and learning the products. I mean, I joke with Matt. I mean, I'm honest with customers. They'll want me to help them do something, and I actually tell them, look, we sell 8 different softwares. I know a little bit about each one of them, but that's why we have our support teams and tech support. But I mean, my goal with most of these people is to know 2 or 3 products that are going to fit their business well, and just stick with what works. We've got 2 or 3 right now that I predominantly sell only. We've got a couple that I used to sell a ton of, and now I sell none of. But I think I try to sell most of my deals before I even have to get Alex or Matt or any of his team on the phone with these guys. And a lot of times I'm sending in leads going, just do a 15-minute demo, show them this, this, and this, and we're good. And I think if a sales rep can go in and they're knowledgeable and the customer sees that, I think the deal is almost sold right there. A lot of times it's about price, which again, we've got different programs that can help out with that. And it's just knowledge of the product and believing in the product. And they're all going to do pretty much the same stuff. Sadly, I think the whole industry's moved towards a lot of people just want a glorified cash register that'll do a few reports and ring people up and take a credit card. We've got tons of clients like that, but then we also have the ones that take a deep dive into it where they want 10 stations, tablets, email reports, all this other stuff that we can do, but that's a little bit more of an extensive process with the demo and things like that. But most of my clients, I try to sell them on the spot before Matt's team even has to get involved. But that's from knowledge and learning the products.
Yeah. And I think, Jerry, we probably had, I don't know, a couple hundred POS merchants just that you and I went through the first few years. And then I remember you getting kind of pissed at me when I passed you off to my boy Alex like 3 years ago. You were like, who is this kid, man? Matt, why can't you help me? But see, you realize Alex is like the greatest guy in the world now. So you guys get along great.
Right?
I hope so.
There's a learning curve, obviously, for everybody. I mean, even with technicians, we've got some software companies right now we're dealing with that they've had some turnover. And I tell them myself, I'm like, I know it takes a minimum of 6 months to get a tech up to speed to where they can answer most of the phone calls.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, Nate, throughout the years, I mean, like Jerry said, we've pivoted several times throughout softwares. There were a few that were great for several years. There's some that Jerry and I only did, 2 or 3 different softwares. But then throughout the years, things change. Sometimes they don't keep up. And that's the same for anyone who's listening to this. You got to keep up with technology. You got to keep up with the times. That's why I'm always looking at new softwares, filling gaps, things like that. And now we've got some other great systems in place that now, Jerry's focused on because he sees how great the support is, how great the software is. As we're competing now, not like we didn't have 2 years ago, now every day it's Toast, SkyTab, Spot On, Square, Clover. There's so many players in the market, we have to keep up constantly.
So I said that I wanted to be in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's kind of go. We're going to go backwards. We're going to start some of the ugly. I want to hear some of the stories that popped to the top of your head, Jerry, that you're like, this just sucked, where maybe it was a third party, maybe it was something totally the merchant did. What are some of the top ugly stories? And we'll just say ugly and bad because we're just going to put it all together. But then we'll finish with some good stories. But I want to know, what were some of the pitfalls? What are some of the times you're like pulling your hair out, where you're like wanting to drive over and, punch Matt Proctor and give me a hug? I know how that works.
It's all the ladies that he intimidates and scares at the point of sale companies.
There we go.
Jerry gets mad. He calls them and he's like, what the hell's going on? And then they call me like, Jerry's mad at me. Hey, Matt.
All right. So tell us a little bit about that, Jerry. What are some of the uglies or bads that selling POS that have happened in the last decade that popped to the top of your mind when you hear that I asked that?
Well, a couple things. So I'm going to give you some examples of bad, but then also to how to prevent it. I think, honestly, the biggest thing Matt and I deal with across the board is, and I keep using this term, the buy-in. We've got to get owners to buy in to learning the software. It's a part of their business every day. It can help them grow their business, see what's going on in their business. So I have a lot of times where I'll sell a point of sale system to a restaurant. They're probably the worst. And the owners don't want to learn it. They don't want to touch it. They just want to train a manager. So we train a manager, we train the staff, and guess who quits in 2 weeks or gets fired or whatever happens. And then we're back to square one. We don't understand it. It's a piece of crap. We need to get it out of here. It doesn't work, all this kind of stuff. So I think the biggest thing I deal with is owners not buying in, which I try to stay involved. And I really push them to stay involved with it. That's probably the number one. Number two, you're always going to have some equipment issues or network issues. A couple things I've done locally is I've kind of partnered with some guys that do networking, cabling, things like that, even some buddies that are competitors in a way. So a lot of sites, they might need a kitchen run. They might need some other stuff done. They're having issues with their router. They don't know what's going on. Instead of having our support teams try to look into that over the phone, which I just had a monster mess about a week ago where you're trying to tell someone to unplug something and plug it in over here, and they do it wrong. And the whole system was down for 2 days before they called me. So partnering with somebody locally that can do networking, run lines for you, I think that's another big issue that we deal with. And then stay involved. I mean, if customers don't call me, I don't know there's a problem. And I think if you stay involved with them, it builds a stronger relationship. They trust you. And anytime they have a problem, they're calling you along with support. So probably owners, hardware, networking, those are probably the biggest three that I deal with. That a lot of that can be prevented if you kind of know what you're doing.
So Matt, I'm going to throw it over to you a little bit here. You've been working with Jerry for a while. Are there memories you have of any of the sales that you've done with him and some of the headaches that you've been able to help him navigate through, that pop to the top of your mind?
See, I was being nice.
Yeah. Well,
I want to get I want the dirt. I want the National Enquirer version of all these stories. So let's get it all out there.
Go to iPad.
Well, and here's the thing, Nate. You're going to hear a lot of differences between over the next few weeks. Okay, whether it's someone like Jerry who's been with me for a long time, and someone like maybe True North who is a newer partner of us, because I did all the sales with Jerry for the first probably 3 years. Okay, so that means I was presenting every demo. I was getting to know all of his merchants. I'm laughing along with his merchants, sharing my screen, doing hot sauce demos, doing Paradise demos, NCR demos, whatever we were selling at the time. Jerry and I was cranking them out. And as he said, when he got more comfortable with the software, and as I'm showing it to him, then he's pre-selling them half the time. So by the time they get on me, we're just having fun. Okay, I'm going through training with them. I'm showing them scenarios of, okay, here's what happens. You get sat here, blah, 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 whatever it might be. And we did that for a long time. And so some scenarios that, or maybe obstacles that we had to overcome were once our softwares were not giving support, because that's when Jerry and I get pissed because it makes us look bad. And we don't deal well with that, when it makes us look bad. So there are definitely some scenarios in the past. I can't think of a specific thing, Nate, where one of our merchants, I say it's Jerry's merchant, but I worked with these personally with them, was not getting the support they needed. And that's when Jerry and I had to go back in, and we want to keep them on board no matter what and pivot to a different system. Now, years ago, we didn't have different systems. So that was even more challenging. Now we have enough that we can, transition and change if we need to. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, because I was in the trenches for so long with Jerry that I took personal responsibility for all those merchants that he has. And it would just piss me off if something changed and they weren't getting the support. So, but that's all. And then we would pivot. Yeah. It's not really bad stories, Yes, did Jerry yell at some people at Hot Sauce and they got all upset? Yes. Did Jerry yell at people from Paradise? Yes. Did Jerry yell at people from Quick? No, not really. He scares the crap out of them, though, because there's these little cute ladies, and he's big and intimidating. He doesn't have to yell. He just intimidates them.
And raising your voice, but it is a frustrating thing, because when we're working with POS companies, they're trying to maximize their profit. The only way that POS companies, when they're not getting a piece of the transaction pie, can maximize their profit is maximizing how much money of that SaaS is not going to be paying for support. And that causes support issues especially as they scale and grow from 1,000 locations to 2,000 and 2,000 to 5,000 and 5,000 to 10,000. And those scale functions cause stress for us as independent sales offices, for us as ISVs, for us as value-added resellers, for us as agents and partners, and that merchant feels like they're the only merchant in the world, and they should probably feel that way. And then it's stress, and so that causes all this. And at the end of the day, if they don't process dollars on that machine, Jerry, you make how much?
Zero.
Zero. So we've got to get
Yeah.
that going. You got to keep that working. So it's a constant job to be doing that. So Jerry, tell me about when a merchant calls. Obviously, it's been a little said that you know how to get the support teams to respond by raising your voice a little bit. But when the merchant calls, how do you de-escalate things to make sure that they are still going to do business with you and not go someplace else, and that you're going and help them feel and know that even if you don't know that there's an answer out there, that you're going to be walking alongside of them to help them find the answer? How do you help provide that trust so they trust you? And in some ways, we make the POS, and they should expect this, the POS support teams, the scapegoats, because that's how this works. But how do you work with the merchant? How do you specifically help de-escalate when something goes wrong and it's causing stress, is because a bug in the system they found is causing them huge amounts of pain?
Right. I love the way you guys make me up this hellion over here. So
that's all on Proctor. He was the one who, and he named names on systems.
Can I clarify, guys? Let me clarify. When I say Jerry's yelling, he wasn't really calling and cussing out or screaming. He was voicing for the merchant. So this is where he's with the merchant. They can't get a hold of anyone. So of course that makes him frustrated, because it makes him, well, like I said earlier, look bad in front of them, and that's his merchant. And so if he needs a response, he's gonna voice the opinion of the rep. That's why his people stay with him forever.
Yep.
Because he'll always have their back. So sorry. Right. Now you can. I'm just trying to stick up for you, buddy.
Yeah. Now back to the answer, Jerry. Why do your merchants love you?
Well, no, I think part of it is like what Matt's saying is when they get to a point, if they're calling me, they're not getting the response that they need. They might be just calling an 800 number and really not know how to explain the problem to somebody. So one good thing is, as we sell these products, we get certain contacts within the support teams. That was another one of my bullet points I want to bring up is, I'm meeting more people within Quick now. One thing that they do really well is they have a app called Telegram, which they respond to immediately. I think that's probably, out of all of our systems we sell, I've told some of the other guys, you need to get Telegram or something like it, because every time my merchant responds to support, I get to see that same text. So that keeps, matter of fact, this morning, I've got a restaurant, they're adding a coffee shop drive-through, and they're using Telegram to ask for changes. And I even put some recommendations in there for them while they're doing it. So kind of back to your question is, I've developed contacts within each system support team that I can go directly when there's really a problem. Matt's even given me, I think he's the owner or president of some of the companies, to go to directly if we don't get something resolved. Different side of that is, for throwing names around, like Retail Cloud's a great product. They've grown so much that merchants call me and they're like, I can't get a response. I don't want to push a button on the screen and wait for somebody to text me back. And, so I've had to get Matt involved in some of those deals where he gets an email sent to the right people and the problem gets resolved. So I think back to your question again is, I have contacts within the different software groups that I can go to and get something resolved immediately. And they do that for me because of Matt's team. And obviously we're selling a lot of their product. And that's kind of what keeps them with me, is I get problems resolved for them.
And I would
Jerry, you're not supposed to tell everyone that I give you like an owner's information.
Hey,
I'm not going to do that for any agent.
Where's your payback?
But
there you go.
And I don't personally hand out those, but I think every POS company that we work with, I have their personal cell phone of the founder, CEO, and a lot of times of several of their staff, and I'm the marketing guy. And now I would use it judiciously, but part of working with the POS pros and working with our PayProTec team and making sure as you're growing how you sell POS is knowing how to navigate to the right person at the right time and not abuse that relationship also. Because we trust Jerry that he's not going to call them for a simple mistake or something that's going on. And so, Jerry, I'll ask this, how do you, as you've grown in this, how often can you fix the problem? What do you think the percentage is? How often can you just fix the problem when they can't get a hold of someone? And how often do you have to reach out for help? And how has that changed over time as you've been selling the same systems? And as you said you're fairly new to Quick. So as you've learned Quick and gradually gotten to know that system, how does that change over time as you better learn a system?
Well, usually, again, back to the customer buying in and the owners buying in, I push them so much to learn how to change prices, add menu items, things like that. But at the same time, I tell them, don't get overwhelmed with it. Shoot an email, use Telegram, send a text, whatever. Get the support team to do that for you. Um, I mean, I think the only times I really have to get involved anymore, to be honest with you, is if there's a major equipment issue or a networking issue. They're calling me because they're so stressed about it, and they want somebody locally that they can have help them.
And I think that was really wise what you said earlier about having, especially when we're talking networking issues, the price that we sell these POS systems at, the margins that are there, for the POS, we have to be able to fix some of those problems without sending people from their home offices or so finding those networking people that can help networking and simple issues that may not be tied, because no one wants to, these systems, POS systems have been going on reverse inflation for the last 10 years. It's absolutely ridiculous because merchants won't pay anything, but we'll talk about that in another time. But at the end of the day, we've got to squeeze satisfaction out of smaller margins, but we all will make more money if these merchants are happy and we learn these systems, because you have long time happy partners. Matt, I'll let you ask any other questions, but I have a couple more for Jerry. Matt, do you have anything right now?
Nope.
All right.
You go right ahead.
All right, Jerry, you have been selling POS for a while. You've been connected to the PayProTec POS Pros team really from, we had been in existence for a little bit before you joined up with PayProTec, but you've been there for multiple years. You're learning systems. What are some of the wins of ones that what ones that, whether it was a close where you install, what are some of the biggest wins that you think back on the POS side? That it's a merchant that you were surprised you were able to get, and because the POS Pros or the right POS or the fit, or a merchant that came back, it was a long haul for 6 months and then suddenly it just clicked and things work. Are there any big wins that you can think of over the last several years?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple. The restaurant world is getting to be so interesting because sites that have 10, 15 stations, a lot of them are just going towards the big names, but I know we can do them. But I had a couple sites. One's a liquor store. This guy runs probably almost $400,000 a month in cards, and he was using a product that I used to sell. And Matt was able to get the right people involved, and we pushed him towards Retail Cloud. That was an account that I thought I wouldn't even get to keep. And Retail Cloud stepped up, got him what he needed. He had some special requests, things like that. So to me, that was a big win to keep an account like that. And then I had a couple other struggles because we had used an iPad system in a couple of these Mexican restaurants that run $200,000 to $300,000 a month, and they were so fed up with connection issues, reporting issues. Matt stepped up, and we actually ripped that system out and put hot sauce in there. I think we did all that in a matter of like 4 days. And they're still using it today. And that's actually the place that just had the networking problem. I didn't want to lose that residual, so I had my guys out there the same day. But I think having the knowledge in the higher end, we'll call it, products like a Retail Cloud, Quick, some of these other ones, I think that allows us, just as if you want to call us this, credit card reps, to go out and get some of these bigger sites because we've got that team behind us and these kind of products out there.
Hold on. It's not all roses here, Jerry. Let's talk about some frustrating things that we've had.
I yell at people and make them mad. Hey, I'm not like
Hold on. Let's just be honest with everyone. Let's talk about that weird movie theater concession stand that we had to go through like 3 different POS systems.
True.
And for all that, after what was it, Pay Anywhere, then Paradise, literally Nate just ringing up concessions. And then finally to Quick, which was perfect for them. And they ended up, what they end up doing? You kept the Quick. We're going to put it somewhere else, but you kept the account, I think.
No, I lost the account because, and this happens a lot, unfortunately, I was talking to my buddy about this morning. They brought in a new GM, and he had used Toast in his prior business, and basically didn't even give me a chance, didn't even look at what was there. He just ripped it out, didn't even tell me. And they went back. He went to Toast, which I had no control over that one. But yeah, that was a good account. That was in Branson, Missouri. We did a lot of work for that account.
Well, and I don't know
we
this is
did.
true often, but one of the things we find often, especially on the Toast side, is those GMs, if they're moving from another location, they've been told by the Toast, usually the installer, hey, if you ever give us anything, we'll pay you $500, $750 for a new install someplace. And that's where I'm trying to say to our partners, look, you know, we're as far margins, but if you're putting stuff on a bonus ID, giving up some of that bonus or some of that, and to keep that business, in this case, this was old business, but those realizing that it's not just their loyalty to Toast that they'd used it before, most likely he was getting a spiff on that. And it's just
find out who
and
the
it's good
management is,
business, and we
guys.
need to be doing it more. And we're trying to figure out how do we, because we give all of our margins to our partners, which is what we do, but then we have got to figure out times. Are there ways for us to incentivize and in a referral network for them to, their loyalty is as loyal as their pocketbook? And so I don't know if that's true, but let's be honest, Quick is just as equal to Toast doing the job. He had just had Toast before.
Right.
So that's that typical.
Well, let's stick with that for a minute, Nate. I mean, if you know one of your merchants, their change in management, like for example, my younger son's restaurant that he's at, who, yes, they have Toast, but I'm going to eventually get it out of there. I knew the GM was leaving. So in this case, I want to make sure I knew who the new GM was. They knew who I was. I'm a regular there anyway. But if it's your merchant and you know or you hear that the manager's going to change, get in there right away. Make sure, you know, you just kind of nip the bud on that one. Make sure nothing's going to happen. You get in there saying, hey, I'm your point of sale guy. Let me know if you need any extra training on this. If you want me to set up a training with our POS team, I'll absolutely do that for you. Oh, you like Toast? That's okay. I don't really care. I'm your point of sale guy. Here's your point of sale system. Because you want to stop that before that. You'd be surprised how much a general manager has an influence over a restaurant. So that's all. I say my piece.
I like it a lot. All right. So my last question, unless Matt has something, and my second to last question. My last question is what question should I asked you? So you can prepare for that. But my last question I actually prepared is tell me, if you meet someone who has not sold either any or maybe very few POS systems, they tend to stay away from it. They think that's too much work. I'm just going to call everyone that I think can be served by a basic, thanks, Mr. Robert Kramer, dumb box terminal. And that's their business. What would you say to them to encourage them to get involved with selling POS? Why should they sell POS? And what would be the first things that they should do to help be successful as they start out?
Well, I think like anything else, just start small, you know. Don't think you're going to walk into a 10 station restaurant and they're going to sign up with you today. You know, go to a small retail shop that might be looking for something besides a cash register. Talk to them about what a POS system can do for me. It all goes back to knowledge again. I think if you're comfortable selling the product and you know the basics, you're going to be able to sell it to anybody. Go in there with a couple, talk with Alex and Matt and their team and stuff. Basically learn some bullet points about each system. When I go into sites, it's like selling credit. You learn their pain points, right? You ask them, are you getting any kind of reporting from your cash register? No. Would you like to have that email to you every night? Well, that'd be great. Are your employees clocking in and out on this? No. You know, so look for their pain points and what you see when you walk in the door and just talking to people. But if you've got a basic knowledge of what these systems will do and what they add to the business, I think you'll just get more and more comfortable with it. The most stressful part, to be honest with you, isn't selling it. It's getting it installed and getting them through those first 2 weeks, because it's very high stress for them. It can be very high stress for you, because obviously they're calling you all the time if they don't understand what they're doing. So I just think gain a basic knowledge and start small and kind of work your way up from there.
Perfect. All right, Matt, any further questions that I missed that I should have asked? Or Jerry, is there anything you said, man, I can't believe he didn't ask this. He should have asked this about selling point of sale.
Do you want to tell everybody what's your height, what's your weight? You know, do you like long walks on the beach? You know, what's your favorite
I'll start
cocktail?
I'll put a couple things up there. We've got some comments on our channel over here. Morgan
Look at
Nordmeyer,
Morgan.
POS Pros, saying we love Jerry at POS Pros. Genesis Consulting, Mike corrected it, but asked, how does Altpay help agents or PPT? Altpay is just one of our wonderful offices. That's what we don't sell unless we have offices
with
like
knowledge.
Altpay. Yep. And Mike jumped in and helped that out. Everybody mentioned that they're dealing with all kinds of stress, and and that's just kind of the life. Welcome to Merchant Services, but we're doing it together. There's plenty of business for us to do it. That's what I love, Jerry. I've gotten to see you twice this year. You were down at SEAA. I saw you for a very short time. You were there for longer. I think we kind of basically passed by when we were in Chicago, but you were with our team on the boat. Maybe tell us that. What does it mean? Because you I don't think you probably mind. You've been reinvigorated by meeting some other partners that you didn't know that are now
new
people you're connecting. Why that are, in essence, they're competition, but they're also partners of PayProTec that you're connecting with and learning from. How has that helped you?
I tell you, it's weird, like going from running a company with 20 salespeople to kind of doing your own thing. You kind of feel like you're on an island sometimes. And I think recently, just going to some of the meetings with you guys and meeting some other offices, we all have the same struggles. Your True North guys and stuff, and then Dave, we all talk on a daily basis now. We're all going through the same thing, and we're just all trying to figure out ways to make it better for all of us. So I think if you stay involved, you do some of these meetings, watch these shows like you're doing now, I think it helps you to grow in your knowledge. And that's, again, you guys keep talking about it. It's kind of like a little bit of a family. I mean, I've told you this, Nate, but like I deal with probably 5 different vendors in this space. You guys are the only company I could probably name more than one person that works there. So it's a little bit different.
Yep.
Well, we appreciate it. And we appreciate Jerry and the Altpay team. It's been fun to watch you grow, and looking forward to watching that even more in the coming years and months. We're just very thankful for all of our people, because everybody takes a little different angle at it, has different series of experience, has all kinds of different ways they sell, ways they install, and we're all going to learn from each other and continue to grow, because as our businesses grow, as our merchants continue to have more customers and more volume and more, we all make more money. And we're in this to help merchants. We're in this to help them make more money. And when they do that, it's all good for all of us. So that's why PayProTec and Altpay, and we all love working together. Matt Proctor, any closing words for us on this episode? Our first time we bring a partner on to POS Uncensored. We'd allowed through the gates, but Jerry, you're the first one we allowed just as our partners, which I think is going to be our best series, most popular series. I already think so. Any closing words, Matt?
Down.
Yeah,
absolutely. Have patience, guys. I mean, like Jerry said, education is key. That's why we do these. So you can jump in here. Now we've got partners all over the country. Even our partners in Canada were telling me the other day they've been watching these POS Uncensored. We're here for you. We want to educate, whether that's talking about one of our systems or it's talking about the process, how to sell to a restaurant, how to sell to retail. And I also want to key on that thing that Jerry said is very important, is let's get through that implementation process. That is the most stressful time. I need you guys to get me involved and get my team involved if you're having any issues. And Brian, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. He said, I'm always here for you, brother. We're going to get some more stuff coming in, right away. And Alex Chavez, my guy, I see you on here. I'll get with you afterwards. We'll get your issues fixed with Retail Cloud immediately. I'll get the right people in place for that. So yeah, that's the biggest thing, guys, is, stay with the family, reach out to us. We're here for you. We're here to help. Jerry will help you as well. Okay? He's got some great partnerships with other offices within PayProTec. So feel free, shoot Jerry an email if you want to pick his brain. I'm sure he'll help you out there.
Okay, now you're handing out his email. Now you're kind of you threw him under the bus for yelling at people, and now you're just telling everybody to call him. He's got to be able to sell at some point, Matt.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that invitation. I need to have some dinner with his wife. I'll bring my wife's on here. I'll bring her down. Shane and I will come down to Oklahoma. I've never been to Oklahoma. We'll go out to a nice place. Maybe we'll close a couple of POS deals while we're down there.
That'll work. Come down for the Michigan.
Man, if they wouldn't schedule the Michigan game where I'm flying the next day to WSAA, that would have been the powers that be. I'm still very frustrated by that, but it's also my son's birthday, so came down. To all those who know, I am a huge Michigan fan. Jerry's a huge Oklahoma fan. Michigan's playing at Oklahoma. I really wanted to go. He had invited even to come sleep on his couch, but Michigan and Oklahoma thought they'd schedule it on the one weekend that I just couldn't figure out how to make
Of
it work.
course.
Of course. So
How about those Hoosiers? How about those Hoosiers last year? Indiana, let's go. But we were losers for so many years. That was a shocker last year.
Yep. Let's hope that continues. I mean, college football's coming in. We'll break that part of our POS Uncensored conversations as we go. Just a reminder as we close up that PayProTec and POS Uncensored exists because our partners exist. We have no inside sales. We don't compete against you for these deals. The POS pros are there to walk and work alongside of you, not to compete with you. They're there to help give you the wings that you need to make the best POS sales ever, whether it's a restaurant or a retail or a veterinarian or whatever it might be, a salon, whatever it might be. I should come up with more business. You know, tell I don't prepare these things ahead of time. I just kind of go with the flow because at PayProTec, we are committed to companies like our sponsor today, True North Payments, because it's not about growing PayProTec. It's about growing the partners who work with PayProTec. And that's how PayProTec grows. And we think about that every day. Thank you, Jerry Pierce. We hope that you are not happy on the 6th of September, but every other day I wish you the best and love. And we're so thankful you partner with PayProTec. And Matt Proctor, always doing the best. And thanks for all those who joined us. We'll be here again next week, right around 1:30. And make sure you like and subscribe, as all the people say right here on our YouTube channel. We're always putting good content here, and there's even more coming in the fall as we get kicking off. So on behalf of Matt Proctor, Jerry Pierce, I'm Nate Manahan. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, boys.